Today we're going to talk about crossing barley. First, you'll need some supplies. A sharp pair of tweezers, some scissors, and something to mark your cross are the most important things. Barley is a self-pollinating crop, and so each flower contains all of the reproductive parts and it will self-fertilize. So we need to emasculate the spike. In order to choose a spike that is ready to be emasculated, we want to see awns just poking over the boot. And so we'll unwrap the spike in order to test that the anthers are still green and have not released pollen yet. Then we will remove the laterals. So this is a 2-row spike of barley, but those laterals should be sterile, but they may still have a little pollen in, so we're going to take them off just to be sure. For demonstration purposes, I have cut this spike off of the plant. However, when you're actually doing this, you want to leave it attached to the plant. I'll continue to remove the laterals on the entire spike before I move on to the next step. Next, we're going to cut the top of each of the florets off just to right above the anthers. I'll also continue to do this for the entire spike. Now we're ready to emasculate. Each floret contains 3 anthers, and so we will need to remove each one. You really want to make sure that you're not breaking the anthers in half because you can still get some residual pollen coming out of there. If you do break it in half, you do want to make sure you go back in and remove the whole thing. Once you get really good at this, you can remove all 3 anthers with a single tweeze, but as you're getting started, just try one at a time. We'll move up and down the entire spike, removing all of the anthers out of the florets. As a reminder, you'll want to make sure to emasculate when the anthers are still green and not shedding pollen yet. Once all the anthers are removed, we're going to need to cover that spike up with a bag. The stigma will be ready to receive pollen in 2 to 3 days, and we'll come back then to pollinate the spike. Now it's time to pollinate. We're going to choose a spike that's slightly older than the one we used to emasculate, so it's going to be coming out of the boot just a little, and we want to check the anthers to make sure that they are yellow and shedding pollen. Then we're going to do basically the same thing we did for the emasculation spike, although we do not need to worry about removing the laterals, but we'll cut the florets at the top of the anther and do that on the entire spike. Then, and this is really fun, we'll put that spike in the sunshine or under a lamp and the anthers will pop out. We'll go back to our bag and cut the top off and then take that spike that has all of the pollen coming off of it and put it in and swirl it all around so that the pollen falls off of that pollinator spike onto the emasculated spike and hopefully goes into each floret to fertilize the stigma and create a new seed. Now we want to label our cross, and so we'll add this little tag with the 2 parents written on it. And we have a successful cross. You can see I got great seed set. Once those seeds fully dry down, I can harvest them and then plant them and continue the breeding process.